host, Dr. Mary Watson, the unapologetic therapist, creator of the Phoenix Therapy Method, creator of the Primal Holistic Health Solutions. I'm still getting used to saying it. And I also got blinded by the light. But anyways, I've been so excited to talk about this all day. Like, I created this while I was supposed to be doing other things, but I've been so excited about this all day. And are you happy, or do you even know it? Like, do you even know if you're happy? Have you ever asked yourself if you're happy, what that means for you, what it doesn't mean for you? I remember growing up, and I was thinking about this earlier. I was supposed to talk about something else, but I changed my mind. I was thinking about this earlier. Has anybody's parents, family, whoever raised you, or even yourself, have you ever asked yourself, are you happy? Like, actually made the decision to ask the question. I'm probably live now. Okay, why do I always worry that I'm not live? I think that one time I didn't press live and I did a whole live. It's like just traumatized me. So I was thinking earlier, how many times do you ask yourself, or do you get asked, are you happy? People consistently ask about if you're married, you have kids, where do you work, what do you do for a living, where do you live, how big is your house, how much do you have savings, who did you vote for, what's your political affiliation, what's your religious affiliation, what's your favorite. Everybody doesn't ask your favorite color. I ask that question, but everybody doesn't ask. But rarely, if ever, does anyone ever ask, are you happy? There's a song about it, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. But in fact, I was just playing that game with my daughter the other day, or just a few minutes ago, actually. But I'm always asking her, is she happy? Are you happy? Is this what you want? Because if you don't get into the practice of doing that early, you go your whole life, or until you realize nobody's asked you, and you wonder what that even means, let alone has anybody asked you. And so many issues stem from never being asked the question by yourself or others if you're happy. And you start seeping into adult life and adulting, which some days I'm doing really good at that and some days I'm not. And whether or not you're happy in it, and that happiness that you're supposed to have cultivated gets put on the back burner, if you ever consider it at all. And then you get into that age where, life takes on a life of its own, its responsibilities and mates and children and family, and you and your happiness gets put on the back burner, and you don't really think about it anymore. You just go through life. You're tolerating through life, and you're just going through the motions. And I got to thinking, I had for a long time been just tolerating through life. I had no clue that true orgasmic pain, not pain either, true orgasmic joy was a thing, let alone possible. And I started thinking, joy, like, what is joy? What does that mean for me? How can I achieve it? How can I maintain it? What is it for me? And I had to do some real deep soul searching. Before I knew it, I was forwarding my mail to 40's Island, which is the island you go to when you get to be 40. From here, it looks like it's going to be kind of fun, so I'm kind of looking forward to it. But then I looked at the last 35 plus years of my life, and I started wondering, where did the time go? Because I swear I was just sitting there accepting my high school diploma with honors. And I realized I had not prioritized my own joy, my own happiness, unadulterated, pure, fun, joy, happiness. And if I didn't start prioritizing it, when would I? And when, if not now, would I start and stop just tolerating through life? Like, when was that going to start exactly? And I'd heard all my life, when you get here, this will happen. I got to those places and the thing that was supposed to happen didn't happen. But that's another story for another day. But I started to own what no longer served me, what no longer made me happy, what I didn't enjoy, what made me freak out and cringe and vomit in my own mouth. And I was like, I'm not standing for that anymore. I'm not doing the shit that makes me unhappy. I'm not doing stuff out of obligation. I'm not doing anything that I don't love, that I'm not crazy happy about. And I started to flash back about when things started to just be rote and repetition, and I just kind of breezed my way through life, and not in that fun, happy-go-lucky Earl kind of way. Have you ever seen that show? It's a really old show, but it's really a lot of fun. It's the mailman. They always call him Happy-Go-Lucky Earl because he's always so happy. I bet he knows joy and happiness. And I started to think about what lights me up besides food, and what do I get excited about? And then what makes me feel like I'm carrying a boulder up a hill with a fork stuck up behind me? Like, really getting clear on what matters and what's fun and what I like to do and what brings me joy and what gets me out of the rote repetition of life. Because before I know it, I'm going to be 50 and then 60 and then 70 and prayerfully longer and more numbers. But I want to be happy. I want to enjoy life, and I don't want to just drudge through life like I'm walking through wet cement. And then I started talking to other people, and they didn't know if they'd ever been asked if they were happy growing up either. And they weren't even sure if they were happy now, and they weren't really clear on what made them happy and what lit them up and what was exciting for them and what beyond that 1 week of the year of vacation they liked to do. Like, what was their thing they liked to do on the weekends? And if it was something that they truly wanted to do. And a lot of not being happy starts with some moment in your life, whether it's traumatic or just, if you really look back, you can pinpoint, if you're really careful and you're really clear, you can pinpoint when it stopped being fun, when life started just being the thing you do before you die. And, most people think that traumatic events is just one event, or that pinpoint is just one moment, like where your car fell off the side of a bridge, or that one thing that you keep rolling around in your head. But really, it's kind of like aging. It's one day after the next day after the next day, and it just kind of builds. And it's just little pieces to a bigger, more comprehensive puzzle. And it could be a series of repeated interactions that change the trajectory of where you're going and what you're doing and how you see yourself and what you allow yourself to do and what's fun for you and what makes you happy. And it's really sometimes that small little interaction, that small little hiccup. And it might not have seemed like a big deal at the time, but it changed the trajectory of your life. It changed everything you do and everything you see and how your eyes are colored to life. And I was thinking while I was doing something else before I came on live about this incident that happened when I was in second grade. I swear I never thought about it. Not really. This girl told my teacher that I hit her in the bathroom. I wasn't even near her. I was at the other side of the bathroom rolling. You remember when paper towel, you had to actually physically roll it? I wasn't even near her. But my teacher believed her. Well, I'm her over me. There was really no real difference between us, if you get what I mean. I don't know why my teacher believed her over me. Even especially since I was the quiet girl who never caused any trouble, although I did talk a lot in class. But that's not violence. That's not, hitting anybody. And I told my teacher over and over and over and over and over again, I didn't do it, I didn't do it, I didn't do it, I didn't do it. And she was like, you did it, you did it. And she just kept hammering and hammering and hammering until I was like, yeah, I did it. Yeah, I did it. Let's just move on. We did it. I did it, whatever. And that, that, I didn't even remember until a little bit ago, that moment changed the trajectory of how I see justice and how I answer, and if I believe that people believe me when I say something, because I was telling the truth and I wasn't believed. And it kind of ingrained in my brain that no matter what you do, you're still going to get in trouble. It's all about who's in control that decides what kind of sentence you get. And manipulation and having to be perfect, even when you're doing the best that you can, whatever that means to everybody in general. But it changed how I saw justice, and it changed how I saw truth, and it changed how I saw everything. Because people can be telling you the truth and based on the way you see things and how you color a situation. And that girl, by the way, is an educator. She is teaching the children of America. And she's still childish, and she still lies. I know her. I hear about her. Why people tell me about her, I don't know, but they do. And I'm like, she hasn't changed a bit. She's still the person conjuring up gossip and lies on people. And she's a teacher, which kind of makes me cringe because I taught for so long and it's like a blemish on the profession. A big blemish, as a matter of fact. And it's funny that that's her life now. That's her life now. And her mom, funny story, I'm not going to tell you, but it's really funny. Her mom makes up shit too. Her mom is the person who makes up shit as she goes along. I'm like, is this his family trait? Is this an ingrained program that they're doing? The way they color, is it fun for them? Maybe it's fun for them. Back to joy. What brings you joy? Hurting other people should not bring you joy. Let's just get that clear right now. Hurting other people should not be how you get your rocks off. That's just not right. Anyway, as I was saying, before I interrupted myself, it's really hard to push through those things and to reprogram your mind and be the badass that you're supposed to be. Trauma can it could be trapped in your head, it can be trapped in your body, it will manifest itself into physical pain. That's what I do, is teach people how their pain and their is correlated to their mind and their thought patterns, and it can change the very chemistry of your body and the way you think and process and experience pain and the pain that you experience. And it gets to a point where your dreams, your goals, your plans, they take a back seat because it's no longer a priority because you're just going through life and maybe you're in immense pain and whatever you really like to do, you can't do, which is another thing. Maybe you know what brings you joy, but you're in so much fucking pain you can't enjoy it, which is not fun at all. And you're just going through the rote and repetition of the day. You're adulting. You might be A plus at adulting, but are you A plus at finding your joy? Are you really happy? If someone started singing right now, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Could you clap your hands? Or whatever the directive is. And sometimes that goes into addiction. Maybe you're into an addiction trying to fill a hole so that you feel whole, so you can be happy and high and excited and joy, because people just want you to be happy. They'll give you a pill and a shot just so you can be happy. Apparently it's wrong to be sad, and no one wants to admit that other people can possibly be sad and not feel whatever they have to feel. But let's talk for a second about head, shoulders, knees, and toes, especially shoulders. When the weight of the world is on your shoulders, the emotional burdens, the drudgery of life, the way that you do things, we all get overwhelmed. But when we get overwhelmed, oftentimes we will tense up and cause our shoulders to shrug. And pain there is associated with burdens and responsibilities, specifically an unwillingness to be accountable for things and move forward. And if you saw live earlier in the week, I woke up in immeasurable pain. Like, oh my God, I thought I was going to die. And when life throws us lemons, our shoulders does the heavy lifting. It bears the weight of the world on our shoulders. That saying is often associated with this. And like I was telling you, I was aching so much, and a lot of things are changing in my life. I've felt like my family was under attack because of some situations that are going on, and as my daughter's sole provider and sole caretaker, that's a grave responsibility. Shout out to all the other single moms who are doing it the best they can. I'm just a walking jukebox and cliche today. That's from a show that I used to watch in the early 90s, late 80s. I'm just dating myself. But anyway, when you don't have that support, sometimes it gets harder to do the things that you're supposed to do. I was thinking earlier this morning about the responsibility of parenting and being a mom. A corporation needs many different moving parts, but there are people who are under this. It got really bright in here. That's really nice. There's people under the assumption that you can work, cook, clean, be a wife, be a mom, be a sister, a friend, all those things, and not feel stretched and not feel like you're burning your candle at both ends. Like the guy who is the data prep clerk isn't really supposed to be doing the same thing as a VP. We all have moving parts, and sometimes we need help. But there are people who believe that you should be able to do everything with a smile. I'm not even going to try and perpetrate the lie. I get tired. It's a lot. But the weight was starting to really dig in. And, the immense pain, I was in a way trying to find a resolution to something that had been bothering me. And I could tell that the pain, the stress was causing that pain to manifest itself. But by the end of the day, I'd gone through some process. I'd gone through my arsenal of resources that I utilize, and the pain had pretty much dissipated. And it's basically gone right now. I have an injury to my shoulder, so that's why this shoulder still hurts. And it's not uncommon that it would come back at a 10-year-old, 12-year-old injury, just coming back all of a sudden when it basically healed before. So you have to think of this neuropsychological background to your pain. And a lot of people aren't open to that, but it's a real correlation. Like there's science behind it. And sometimes it's your arms. I have really tiny arms, really, to be honest. But that pain it was almost as if I'd lifted like a boulder, and it was all about my reaching out. Like I don't reach out for help. I don't like to ask for help. And I had to acknowledge that I was suffocating that part of me. I didn't want to ask for help. Didn't want to hire a personal assistant. Didn't want to, go to the website and maybe get a sitter for the evening so that I could take a break. And I started to feel it. I started to feel that pressure of not reaching out, of not, getting the support that I needed. And then I started to journal around all that. What does it mean? Why am I not doing it? What does it mean if I do it? What does it mean that I don't do it? Like everything has a backstory, a background to it. You just have to get to the root of it. And I'm an introvert, so reaching out is very difficult. I almost did this as a podcast so you wouldn't see my face. I just am a very introverted person because of a lot of different reasons. And I felt smothered, and the situations that have been coming up just felt like it was weighing me down. And I started to resent what was going on and the people involved immensely, especially with the epiphanies that kept coming up over and over and over again. And I felt alone and isolated and even rejected in some situations. And all of that, the physical pain was a backstory to, or the manifestation of that backstory that I'd been repeating over and over and over and over in my head. And one of the massively beneficial ways I have been able to serve and like to be served is having arsenal in my back pocket, whether it's a coach, whether it's my portal, whether it's journaling, whether it's having a meditation, whether it's a ceremony or ritual or whatever, prayer, meditation, whatever so floats your boat, where I can just kind of rehash things and kind of look at it from an aerial view rationally and with as much objectivity as I can. But you have to get to the bottom of things to look at it subjectively or objectively. You still have to get to the bottom of it. And going through all these things reminds me of my mission, reminds me of my purpose to give support and coaching and alignment and healing to those who need it, even when I'm the one that needs it, even if I'm the one that has to reach out to others and myself and get the work done and do the things and do it at an energetic exchange that feels comparable. A lot of people, I'm a big tipper. When I go out to eat, when I have delivery, which it should be coming soon, I like that energetic exchange because they've saved me time and energy, whether it's I didn't have to cook that night or so they took that weight off of my shoulder. They brought my food to me so I didn't have to go get it, or they waited on me. I'm a pretty good customer. I'm not an asshole. But that energetic exchange is so important. Everybody needs to feel valued and everybody needs to be able to afford the joy. Some fun can be had for free and others cost, like the movies. There's a movie I was going to go see, but I forgot the title. So that's why I haven't gone. But I'm going to remember the title and go. But it's important to get to that place in your life where it's easy to rattle off what you want to do. So you can go in and cultivate that atmosphere of what's going to bring you back to joy, bring you back to center, bring you back to soul, bring you back to joy. Because life without joy is pointless to me. I don't want to go through my life miserable. I don't think anybody does unless you get off on being miserable, which is a whole nother life. But it's important. It's really important. And shameless plug, my Primal Holistic Health Solutions practice is accepting clients. And we work through things like this at an in-depth level where we go through what pain you're in, pain management, pain relief, mind, body, soul health, mental and emotional health, because the stigma behind mental health and pain needs to be eradicated. People are in pain everywhere. 50 million people are in chronic pain every single day. I just read the statistics. There shouldn't be that many people in chronic pain and suffering and suffering and suffering, mostly probably because of a trauma they haven't resolved, probably leading to the fact that they're not joyful, happy, and enjoying life. And that's painful in and of itself. So I'm going to put the information in the comments. Check out the link. I'd love to have an appointment with you and work through whatever you want to work through. I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Have a safe Labor Day if you are in the States, and enjoy your long weekend because I plan to. I've got a marathon on ready to go, so I'm going to enjoy that and my pizza. I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, evening, and thanks for joining. And press the replay. Let me know if you came back to to listen to this replay, or share it wherever you think people would be most receptive. Bye.